Hello, everyone. This is the AntimatterGameZ podcast. I am your host, Chris Jagaris, and with me, as always, Matthew Blake.
Hi.
And Samantha Jennings.
Hi.
How's it going this week, guys?
Good. Really good.
Peachy.
Awesome. We got a lot of games to talk about. There was a big Xbox event. We got some updates from our news last week. It's very busy in the gaming sphere right now. I don't know if I just made that word up or not. But first we're going to find out who's a pleb and who's a pro.
Oh,
Do you guys remember how to play this game?
Yep.
Cool. So our category this week is going to be third-person action or adventure games.
Oh.
All right. So I'll give you an example in case you're like, what? This one can't be used. God of War is a third-person action adventure game. Sorry, Sam. That was Sam's first.
I'm out. I'm out.
I know God of War. Let's start with Matt then.
Zelda 64 or all of them.
No franchises. Specific Zeldas.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Zelda 64.
Okay. Cool. Sam?
The first Uncharted game.
Batman Arkham Asylum.
Zelda Majora's Mask.
Mass Effect 2.
Nice. Mass Effect Andromeda.
Zelda the Wind Waker.
All the Zeldas.
Yes, see, we should go with franchises.
Yeah.
Uncharted 2.
Zelda Skyward Sword.
Oof.
Zelda Twilight Princess. That's a one, right?
Yes. 5, 4.
Uncharted 3.
There you go.
Trying to get away from Uncharted.
It's my turn now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Zelda.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild.
Uncharted 4. Your move, Sam.
What is it? First person?
Third person.
No. Third person.
You don't get to ask us questions. 5.
Horizon. Horizon Zero Dawn.
There you go. Super Mario Odyssey.
Isn't that like kind of a 3D
definitely.
platformer?
It's definitely third person, man.
Yeah, but I think it's more of a Okay, whatever. I'll give it to you. Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver.
Nice.
Ooh. Assassin's Creed? Would we count Assassin's Creed?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Which one?
Let's go with Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
Dark Souls 3.
Oh, again, okay. Yeah, I'll give it to you. What did I say last time? Oh, yeah. Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver 2.
Assassin's Creed, the first one.
Is it called Assassin's Creed, the first one?
No, it's just I'm specifying the first one.
I think it's just called Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed.
Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh, God.
Grand Theft Auto 4.
Nice. Easy peasy.
Red Dead Redemption.
I gotta pick a harder topic next week.
Or we just have to make a franchise rule.
Yeah.
These are games I've actually played. This one's good.
All right, from here on out, no Grand Theft Auto 3, 2, 1, okay?
Right.
Can we still
Just-
do the other 12 Assassin's Creed games?
No.
No.
We got Assassin's Creed. It's out of the way. Resident Evil 4.
Banjo-Kazooie.
Spyro.
Crash Bandicoot.
Ooh. Legacy of Kain, Blood Omen 2. Technically a different franchise.
We just said... Oh,
No more
come on.
franchises.
All right.
It's not the Soul Reaver franchise. It's the Blood Omen franchise. They're different.
Sam.
God. Kingdom Hearts.
Oh, nice. Kingdom Hearts. I was not thinking of that.
Mhm.
Nope. I was going to do Batman Arkham Knight, but I can't do that. I'm drawing blanks. Yep, I'm out.
Oof.
All right. Jack and Daxter.
Oh, Ratchet and Clank.
Oh. My brains.
4, 3, 2,
Scrumbles.
1.
No.
Matt is out. That means, Sam, what are you?
I'm the best person in the whole planet.
But you are a specifically.
Pro.
Yeah.
I'm
And,
Matt. I'm a filthy casual.
And this week I'm a pleb.
Oh.
Oh no. Just a nude pleb. All right, this week on Monday, it was May the 4th. It was Star Wars Day. You guys like Star Wars?
I love Star Wars.
I like Star Wars, but somehow, like, I haven't seen the most recent film. I just
Matt,
never got around to it.
lukewarm on Star Wars. So
I'm warm on Star Wars. I just I can't stay warm. I don't know. It just
There. You know what? I can't either. Don't watch the last one. It sucks. So in front of me, I have a list of the 5 best-selling Star Wars video games of all time. I'm gonna get you guys to try and guess them. What do you think? What's on there?
Oh man, I bet
Battlefront.
Which one?
2.
Star Wars Battlefront 2 is on there. What number do you think it is? Out of 5.
Number 4.
Nope. Higher.
3.
It's number 2.
Oh, I was gonna say 2. That seemed too obvious.
What else you guys got?
Here's one I actually don't think will be on there because I think it's very popular, but I don't think that like games sold as well back then as they do now. Shadow of the Empire.
No, it's not on there.
Yeah.
What else you got for me?
Fallen Order.
Yes. What number?
3.
1.
4.
Sorry, yeah, it's number 4. Jedi Fallen Order.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So wait, we got 3 and 4.
So you got number 2 and number 4. Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
I guess Star Wars Battlefront, the first one.
Yes, that is number 1.
Ah. And is that Star Wars Battlefront the second Star Wars Battlefront or the first Star Wars Battlefront?
That is 2015 Star Wars Battlefront.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, I had that one.
What about
you got 2 more?
What about Star Wars Battlefront 2 First Edition, like old?
No, none of the old Star Wars games are on this list. Well, at least none that are that old.
Yeah. No, I imagine.
So you guys got number 3 and number 5 left. Throw some more Star Wars games at me.
What other Star Wars games?
I don't know any other Star Wars games.
Like,
oh, come on, there's lots.
There's the Battlefronts, and there was Fallen Order.
Yep, we got those ones.
Star Wars Dancing on Connect.
What about on PS3? Any Star Wars games on PS3?
Did they? Did they do that?
Oh yeah, they did.
Star Wars versus Mortal Kombat.
I wish. I'll give you a hint. There is the word Force in the title.
Oh God, Force Unleashed.
Yeah.
Oh
that's
yeah.
Number 5, Star Wars Force Unleashed.
Yeah.
And you guys got one more. What do you think
Force
it is?
Unleashed 2?
This one will be popular with the kiddies.
Oh, Lego Star Wars.
Lego Star Wars.
Yeah, Lego Star Wars: The Complete Saga is number 3.
Man.
Nice.
So there were so many really good Star Wars games in the 90s, but they're never going to make that list because video games are just smaller.
Yeah, they didn't sell like they used to. Shout out to Rogue Squadron on the GameCube. Baby. That's a good one.
Rebel Assault, TIE Fighter, X-Wing,
there's
X-Wing versus TIE Fighter.
Just too many. All right, it's time for Stay a While and Listen. It was a big news week this week. Xbox had their very first Inside Xbox of their next-gen reveal. So this is number 1. They're going to have one every month, apparently. from Xbox themselves leading up to the release of the Xbox Series X. So me and Sam streamed this live, and we have our reactions on YouTube as well. Now, leading into this, Xbox promised big game reveals. They promised next-gen titles, and they promised a lot of gameplay. Needless to say, the internet was pretty mad at Xbox after this had finished, but we did see some pretty cool stuff. So we're going to go through the games that they did show, minus Madden. We're not going to talk about Madden. Madden's there, 2020. If you like football, it's more Madden. So the first game we saw was Bright Memory Infinite. You guys both watched the trailer. What do you think of that one?
I was super excited for that game because I hadn't seen anything about it. The trailer itself was very ambiguous.
Why don't you describe the trailer for us a little bit?
Okay. So it opens up in a very beautiful looking, like, Sekiro-ish area. So some, like, Japanese motifs and stuff around. And you have a gun, but there's also swords, and you're zipping around like Spider-Man. And then there was a DeLorean, and then you were in the woods. Like, it was just, there were so many things happening. I wasn't sure that this was one game, or if this was just going to be like here's how things look on next gen, everything mashed together. So I was super excited. I'm like, I'm down for whatever this is.
Matt, what do you think?
I mean, it looked really, really cool, but I couldn't shake the feeling that it looked like a tech demo. It was like,
it did.
Check this out. Look at how guns look. Look at how brain slicked everything is. Also, look at this movement. Look at all this stuff. And it's just like classic, like, first gen of a new console. Like, let's see how crazy we can make everything look. The gameplay itself just looked like Titanfall. Like straight up Titanfall. Wall running, sliding. Yeah. The gun looked like a gun from Titanfall. The grappling hook functioned like it did in Titanfall. Yep. Except the Titan's been replaced with a DeLorean for reasons.
I had the word tech demo in my head the entire time Sam was talking, and while I was watching that trailer for the first time. And I actually said, if you go out and watch the reactions video out loud, Titanfall, is this more Titanfall when it started? But yeah, it looks like look what we can do. Like, look how shiny everything is. Oh my god, look how cool this weird Spartan zombie guy looks. It's the DeLorean. It looks really shiny and real, right? I have to admit, it was super pretty, very, very wet and shiny. It was, before we go into the rest of the games, I will say it was probably the only game out of all of those that looked next gen. That I looked at and I was like, ooh, baby, like, this is going to be PS5, Xbox Series X. So, moving on, the next game was Dirt 5. Not too exciting. Even if you're a racing fan, to be honest with you, at first, me and Sam thought this was Forza. And it looked a lot like Forza until they told you it was Dirt. I think what they were really trying to get across with this one is how big the environment is going to be, and they're really pushing that SSD that's going to be in the Series X, and, you know, no loading screens and all that. So how much more ground you'll be able to cover in a rally car. Pretty straightforward. You guys have anything you want to add to that?
Not really, no.
Next on the list was Scorn. Scorn looks really cool, and it was really cool seeing Scorn in this big deal Xbox press conference, because if you follow a group called the Easy Allies, Scorn was a sponsor of theirs for 2 years. So I heard the word Scorn on their podcast for like 2 years straight, and then they disappeared, and they just popped up again right here with this, you know, the finished product. Sam, what did you think of the trailer? Because it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it was another one of those ones where I hadn't heard about it. I had no idea what it was. For probably the first half of the trailer, we were both thinking like maybe it was Alien or like Prometheus or something, because it had the very Alien-esque vibe to it. But it just looked creepy and like a world that I wanted to explore and be a part of. So still really having no idea what the game is, I would definitely be convinced to pick that up or try it. Like, it looked great.
Yeah. What'd you think, Matt?
What really caught my eye was, as I'm watching it, I'm like, this looks really, really cool. I hope we're not just shooting this shit up. And then I checked, and it's supposed to be like a first-person adventure game, which I'm hoping is like more in like the classic tone, where you're just going to have to like puzzle your way through this environment. And I think that could be a really, really great concept, because some of the greatest old adventure games were the ones that put you in this weird setting where you kind of have to turn off the way your logic normally works and be like, what would make sense in this environment? And you're going to have to interact with that world and get through it by taking parts and combining them. And I'm pretty on board with that. I hope it leans heavily to the puzzle adventure side and stays away from action, because I think spooky stuff becomes a lot less spooky when you can shoot it.
So to give you guys a little more info, because the last thing I saw of Scorn like 2 years ago was a little gameplay demo that they had for the Easy Allies to play on their podcast, and it was basically like the trailer. You know, in the trailer they put the little tentacle in the guy's head, and all the shit spreads, and the thing pops out of it.
Yeah,
it looks really creepy. So in the gameplay demo, you have this flesh gun. I don't really know what other way to describe it. It's like this fleshy tentacle gun with like flesh holes, like belly buttons or something on the top, and you load your ammo into these like belly button holes, and they like suck up around the balls, and like that's your ammunition, and you were using it to like shoot all these skittering little creatures. And at some point, the guy who was playing found like an augmentation for his gun, which was like another fleshy appendage that he like jammed into the front of it, and it like ate the back of it to connect and make this like shotgun version of the flesh gun. So I think it's going to be really strange and weird for sure.
I think you might have been on the wrong website.
Creepy vibes. No, I'm not kidding. This is what it was. So if it was that 2 years ago, I can't wait to see what it is now. Yeah, I hope it makes me really uncomfortable.
Matt looks uncomfortable.
I hope so.
Well, I'm not supposed to talk over people.
Yeah. All right, next, Corvus Rise as One. We can just go through this one quickly. So at first when I saw it, I thought we might be seeing another Mass Effect game, or maybe some more of Beyond Good and Evil 2. You have this female protagonist. She's really edgy. She's in space. She has like face tattoos. So that's why I got those vibes. But it seems like most of the gameplay is going to be starship combat. Mm-hmm. And it's very pretty. The art style kind of reminded me of Control. They have some parts where she's walking in these weird like sci-fi light tunnels and stuff. It looked very cool. I liked it a lot. What did you think, Sam? You saw it too.
Yeah, it was another one where it looked beautiful. I was interested in knowing a little bit more about the story. Like at one point, she comes in and she's like touching this ship, almost like in an Avatar-esque, like having a connection with it. And I'm like, Is the ship alive? Like, do they have a bond? So no idea what the story is. Excited to find out more, but it looked beautiful. And yeah, it definitely looked like it's mostly space combat or flying around. Like that's going to be the main kind of mechanic of the game. So I would be curious to see where that goes. I definitely would like to see more of that.
I could use a good space combat game. It's been a while.
Yeah, so I missed that one, and that's why when I heard space combat, you'll see my eyes went wide, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I like blasting things in space.
Me too, and it's been a while since I've played a space combat game where that felt really good.
Yeah.
Star Wars Battlefront and Battlefront 2 didn't deliver that for me. They were not very satisfying.
Fingers crossed for PC release, and hopefully some kind of sim mode.
It looks like a game that would be on PC for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next up, Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. Matt, why don't you go nuts?
I mean, honestly, the trailer showed less gameplay than I was hoping for.
There was hints of some in there.
There was definitely like hints and flashes. But yeah, this game is starting to like really look like it's coming together. It's been a while since we've seen stuff from it, and the earlier stuff looked early. Like there was the environments looked nice, but it looked like it was just missing a little bit of polish. The animations looked a little stiffer, so now like, what better way than dancing to show off how smoothly people can move. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this game. I kind of missed the first one, and when the second one was announced, I made myself go back and play the first one with the fan the fan patch, obviously.
Mhm.
And I had a really, really good time with it, and I saw why it was a classic.
Yeah, I got to play a little bit with that with you as well, and it was pretty enjoyable for the couple hours that we played it. Anyway, just watching, you know.
We should consider dusting off that random start thing that we were going to try.
It'd be a fun stream game for sure.
Yeah.
So talking about the trailer, I was a little bit like hot and cold on it. The problem for me is that we got to see a lot of really, really cool looking and really good looking environments that looked like they were like in engine, like in game, I guess. So that stuff I was pretty hyped about. But when we get to the character models and the people, they looked a little bit cartoony, and I don't know if I like that. I was hoping that they would be a little bit more realistic, you know what I mean? In a game that's all about becoming this character and role playing, it's kind of jarring to me when they look a little goofy. What do you think, Sam?
Yeah, I think there was one trailer we were watching. I think it was this one where we were both quiet. And you just went, faces, not good. And I think it was this one. And yeah, I wasn't really thinking about it until you mentioned it. But we're at a point now with these next-gen games and even current games where like there's really no excuse to have bad face models. Like we have the tech for it. That was one of the major downsides with Mass Effect, the last one that came out. God. The face models were just awful.
Don't speak of it.
Those cursed images.
Anymore.
But yeah, definitely. Like that's one of those things where we should have that nailed down now. I don't know anything about that game or the last one, so I wasn't sure if maybe that was an aesthetic thing. Like that's just part of the look of this game.
Yeah, that's the thing is the last one is pretty old, so I wouldn't say that it was.
It kind of matches the art style on the cover of the last game. Like the characterization is a little over the top. Like in the art, which is what I'm going on, because like obviously the last game had technical limitations. The only thing I can think of is maybe it was like for hardware reasons.
Possibly, but then the environments look super good.
Yeah, but it's an open world game, right? So you're gonna have to have like potentially like 20 of these faces in view at any given time. Yeah. So maybe if you did super photorealistic faces, performance would suffer in crowds. So they just simplified it and then stylized it so it didn't look like they were simplifying it. I don't know. Whatever.
It may not be as big of a deal because a lot of the so-called gameplay that we may have saw in the trailer looked to be in first person anyway. So you at least are not going to see yourself for most of the game. We just saw lots of like hands running as they're climbing the walls and stuff. So maybe it won't be as big of a deal. All right, next we saw The Ascent, which we won't spend too much time on. It was a top-down shooter that looked a lot like, and I can't remember the name of the game. Matt, you probably do. It looks a lot like that Space Marines game, the co-op one.
Remember what it was called? Kill Team?
I think so. So it was just you and one other person, and
like
you're running around.
Like a twin-stick shooter?
Yeah, it's like a twin-stick shooter. That's
like Helldivers.
What this was. Like what, sorry?
Helldivers? I don't know if you ever played that one.
I haven't.
No, it was on the PlayStation Plus store a couple of years back, but it was that same kind of like top down. It was a little bit more cartoony. Like if you were to take that look but make it more bright, but it looked very similar. That was what I thought it was, or it gave me Helldiver vibes.
Yeah. Anyway, it looked cool. There's lots of games out there like that, so I guess look out for it. The next one is The Medium, which was just a CG trailer. There's no gameplay in this one. Psychological horror. It looks like it's centered around a girl, and we had a little talk with the devs after, and apparently she can like skirt both the world of the living and the world of the dead, or something like that.
Can I call now for my free reading?
And she gets caught in between. Yeah, go ahead.
No, sorry.
Oh yeah, sorry. I thought you had something to say. Sorry.
No, just a joke.
So again, it was a CG trailer, but what we do know, which is pretty cool, is this is from Bloober Team, the developer who makes Layers of Fear. which is an amazing horror game. If you haven't played the first Layers of Fear, go play it. It's haunting and it looks beautiful. And also their composer, who is fantastic, worked with the composer for Silent Hill 2 on the soundtrack of this. And all you guys out there, if you haven't played Silent Hill 2, do yourself a favor and pick it up. Get it on PC if you can, because there's a modded version that has like all kinds of fixes and, you know, better textures and stuff. And it's one of the best psychological horror games ever made. So both those things combined, I think, are going to make for probably a pretty awesome experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, moving on. Let's see. We got Scarlet Nexus. This is definitely up Sam's alley. Sam, you remember this one?
Is it the fun anime game?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us about it?
It looks like a fun anime game. Lots of main characters. Really bright, exciting environments that have that kind of like anime-ish style to it, which I always enjoy. Once again, don't know what the story is. There's these weird plant, human, robot monsters. They look like big flower bouquets with like legs that were attacking you, which I'm always into, like weird monsters and stuff like that.
They have those in Japan for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, your typical walk down the street in Japan. Yeah, it looks super fun. I'm sure it's gonna be like an RPG, your typical anime game, just on next gen. But it looked fun, looked cool.
We saw some gameplay of it, and it looked very reminiscent of like Bayonetta or Devil May Cry, like stylish action.
Yeah,
which can be cool.
Mm-hmm.
And lastly, the hot topic game, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. We were supposed to see gameplay for this. That's what Microsoft promised, and we didn't at all, pretty much. And the internet got real mad after that.
Honestly,
did you watch this trailer?
I did, and like, I don't know how the internet can say for certain they didn't see gameplay, because the trailer cut like every second. So many cuts.
God, yeah. Cut. I didn't
see
gameplay.
They may have slid a little like fraction of a second of some dude running up a building in actual gameplay. You can't say they didn't. You need like I don't know, space vision. I'm trying to think of an animal that has really good eyes, and I'm falling flat. But yeah, like it definitely, maybe it was in engine. But no, like that trailer sucked for so many reasons. It didn't deliver on what it was supposed to.
Yep.
It was borderline like seizure inducing with all the cuts. Like I didn't know what I was looking at. I just knew I didn't like it. It's just like the dog threw up, and I don't know what it is, but it's gross.
Yeah.
It was a bad CG trailer, and it was a bad gameplay trailer. It didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Basically. So people had the right to be pissed off, I think, because people are excited about Assassin's Creed. And I actually saw a tweet from the lead developer, whose name I can't remember, but they had a talk with him after that, like a little interview. He tweeted this morning, basically an apology, saying, we have a lot more coming in our marketing campaign for Assassin's Creed. Please be excited and bear with us and be kind and all that stuff.
It's so weird nowadays when you have conferences and stuff like this, where it's like, if you don't have something ready, if you know you're not showing gameplay, just don't say that you're going to, because people go into it with that expectation. If I had thought it was just going to be an Assassin's Creed presentation, and I'm like, okay, maybe I'll get some more trailer, we'll talk to the developers, we'll get a little bit more information, cool. But when you set that standard of like, you will get this, and then you don't, that's when it's super frustrating, especially when you don't have an Xbox and you sat there for 45 minutes watching Xbox trailers.
Look, they know what people want. Yeah, they know what people want. And the tweet they put out to announce this was, you guys want games? We got games. And they know people want big first-party, next-gen games. And what we got was a lot of smaller indie team third-party games. And one thing they pushed really hard that really bothered me, what was it? I wrote it down. Smart delivery. So that, besides the first trailer, the little phrase smart delivery was at the bottom left of every other one of those trailers. And what that means basically is these are really Xbox One X games that you will be able to play on the Xbox Series X. So these are cross-gen games. So I feel like really the only next gen anything we saw was the first trailer, which was essentially just a tech demo for all we know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure I yelled out, "Is this Crisis?" at one point too.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? You know what that reminds me of, and I just thought of it now. It reminds me of, remember when before the PS3 came out, there was that Killzone 2 trailer?
Oh yeah.
And it would look so good, and people were so hyped for it. And like the PS3 was a year out or 2 years out at this point, but it's like, look what the PS3 can do. People got so excited for that. PS3 comes out, Killzone nowhere to be found. Year goes by, 2, 3, and then finally we get something, and admittedly, it looked pretty good. It didn't look as good as that trailer. That was like 7 years old at that point, but yeah.
You know what, Matt? That's not the first time that production teams lied to the fans, and that wasn't the last time either.
Deep Down springs to mind.
Yeah. All right, we got some updates for you from last week. So touching back on Naughty Dog, the hacker situation, it turns out it was not a disgruntled employee from Naughty Dog that leaked the Last of Us 2 images, videos, whatever. I have a tweet here from Jason Schreier. So, quote, hackers found a security vulnerability in a patch for an old Naughty Dog game and used it to get access to Naughty Dog servers. So apparently PlayStation has found out who these people are, but they're not releasing that information to the public. Wasn't anyone pissed off at Naughty Dog?
No, it was just some hackers ruining things because they could.
It was just some 4chan hackers
just
ruining things.
And with a little help from Nathan Drake.
To take this story. Like, I'm happy that it wasn't disgruntled employees. Like, it's nice that it was just some dick who's normally going to be a dick anyways. And not somebody who worked closely. Because the sad thing when it's an employee is this is someone you've probably worked with for the last year, 2 years. However, they're on your team. So it's nice to know that it was not an inside job.
Yeah.
Yeah, and any tweet I've seen, and a lot of them came out from people on the development team. Everyone sounds super passionate about the game, and they can't wait for us to see it. You know, and I'm sure people jumped to disgruntled employee because Naughty Dog was in a lot of hot water over their crunch practices just a couple months ago, also from Mr. Jason Schreier. So I'm glad it wasn't that.
Yeah.
Kind of a happy ending, and we get to play that game real soon, just in a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And our other update is on the Mick Gordon Doom original soundtrack.
Yeah.
Matt, did you read that big article?
The open letter from... Yes, I read it.
It's from Marty Stratton.
Yeah.
You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, so it was actually... I will say, I really liked the way he tried to make it as fair as possible.
He was very nice about it.
He was extremely nice about it. Because what it does boil down to, essentially, is Mick Gordon kind of fucked around, was sometimes hard to reach, kept missing deadlines, and basically, at one point, they just sort of had to have someone jump in who basically finished the soundtrack because Mick Gordon wasn't doing it in a timely fashion. But that's not what he says outright, you know. There was a lot of meetings, there was a lot of talking, Mick Gordon asking for more time to meet certain quality standards, then giving it to him. It seems... I mean, as I was reading it, I kept going back to... Has anyone seen that clip of him with the heavy metal choir?
No.
Yeah. And, like, Mick Gordon got a whole bunch of metal musicians together to form a choir to do, cool. chants and stuff for in the game. And I was like, it's cool, but how much does this cost, and how much are you going to use this? Like, I can just see, like, you know, Mick Gordon having these grand ideas. It's like, we're going to get, like, 50 people together. It's going to be great, and we're going to use it. And I think it's that chant from the end of the first level. When you get into that temple, and before you confront the Hell Priests with the head of the first Hell Priest, and there's that kind of chanting going on.
Spooky.
Yeah, so it was that, and I think it's also the rip and tear bit at the end of The Only Thing They Fear Is You. I think that, which honestly is like, how much did it cost for that probably total minute of audio that you got out of those 50 people?
I'm willing to bet Mick Gordon charges a lot of money just in general by the hour for his work.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I feel like, he was getting really into the... Apparently some of the stuff that ended up on the final soundtrack wasn't even supposed to be a song. Like, they ended up having to use stuff that Mick Gordon sent in as, like, mock-ups. Like, something like this. And then they just ended up having to use that. Because the final version of that never materialized.
I feel so bad for that guy who had to put that together, because the whole sense I got from the letter was it like being a bad group project at school, where you are the one person who is just trying to hold this thing together, and it's like you can't get your group members together, and you're like, guys, we have to get this done by tomorrow. And that poor guy just had all these files and was like, okay, what can I do? I can piece this together. I can pull something together. We can get it done. No, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be great, but we've promised that this is coming out at this point in time. And you get that. You get that when you work with people who are very artistic or who are higher up there in the industry, because generally they're the one in demand. So Mick Gordon is in demand. He works on his own timeline. So it's kind of a risk you take when you agree to work with somebody like that. Those are the problems you're going to have. So it's it sucks that it happened, but it's reading that letter, I'm like, yeah, 100%. That sounds plausible. That's definitely what happened.
So I have some finer points on this. So apparently what prompted Marty Stratton to write his post or plea or whatever in the first place is that the sound engineer who finished this soundtrack was getting harassed on social media by jerk-offs who were mad that the waveforms weren't the same in like all of the songs. So what happened is that Mick Gordon only gave them 12 songs. He was contracted for like 60 or something like that. He kept pushing the deadline. They kept pushing his bonus. So every time he wanted more time, they were like, hey, you know what? Your goal, baby. You do it. We'll still give you the money. No problem. So it sounds like they really gave him, a lot of time and a lot of patience, and he kind of, he didn't return, obviously. And when it was clear that was happening, they went to this sound engineer and was like, look, we need a backup plan. Can you take these game tracks and finish out, like fill up the rest of the soundtrack? And that's what ended up being the completed soundtrack. And because of that, they gave the sound engineer co-credit on the album, co-crediting, and that made old Mick not too happy. And that apparently is what prompted his response on Twitter. That was last week, him saying that he wasn't going to work with id Software again because he was upset that this guy was getting credited for what he thought was his own work, pretty much.
Yeah.
But that's super lame.
And that one also like evolved from that point, right? Like, Mick was under the impression that he was like a co-composer, and he's not. Like, that Mick was wrong about that, so I think that one got walked back a bit when Mick realized the guy was just like a contributing artist and not a co-thing. But I mean, and a part of me sort of also feels a little bit, if this is the situation for Mick, because I think he accidentally knocked it out of the park with the first Doom soundtrack. Like, I don't think he expected that one to set such a high bar. And so how do you top that? Right? Doom 2016 soundtrack was perfect.
I don't think he did top it.
I think he was trying to, though. I think that's the only way I can kind of sympathize with him taking so long and missing all these deadlines and everything. He's basically trying to outdo perfection. And he's spinning his wheels, like being like, how do I one-up this song? How do I one-up this song?
I mean, how do you one-up Rip and Tear and BFG Division? Like, you don't. They're really good songs. And there is, I mean, to my memory, I've played the entire game. There's no songs on the soundtrack that pop like those songs do.
I would argue The Only Thing They Fear Is You.
Maybe I need to go back and listen to it.
It's one of the ones that Mick Gordon actually mixed. You can find it. It's not on Mick Gordon's YouTube. He leaked like the soundtrack, specifically his stuff, to someone else. I'll send you the link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was another part of the back and forth. Just before we move on here, on your point, Matt, is that they were looking for more songs like Rip and Tear and BFG Division, and Mick knew that. But apparently, what he initially had delivered was a lot more ambient tracks and a lot more chill tracks, and that's not what they wanted. So I feel like there was probably some hostility there as well. Just a bad situation in general.
Yeah.
So moving on, one last thing for the news. Good old Jeff Keighley. I'm a big fan of Jeff Keighley. I like that guy. E3 is not happening this year, and Jeff Keighley kind of backed out of E3 before the coronavirus stuff happened, and it was for sure E3 wasn't going to happen. He knew the show was kind of going south, so he made a public statement maybe a month before all that stuff went down, saying he was going to back out. He wasn't happy with where things were, and he usually runs the YouTube live event at E3 every year, right? He has guests on. They watch the press conferences and everything. So Jeff Keighley starts the Summer Games Fest, and I have the article right here from Jeff Keighley. He put it up on Twitter. I'll read it for you guys because it's kind of like a vague idea. It's not like a super solid thing like E3. So here we go. Since I was a kid, one of my favorite parts of the summer has been seeing all the video game companies band together to hype us about the future of this incredible medium. This year has been a challenge for all of us. For a while, I thought 2020 might be the first time in 25 years we didn't have a big magic industry-wide moment. It really bummed me out to see everything fracture. More than ever, this is a year we need a positive, uplifting center of gravity to bring the global community together. So that's what we're going to build. Today I'm proud to announce Summer Game Fest, a 4-month-long season of news events from all your favorite game platforms and publishers. It's all the news you've been waiting for, but also in-game events, playable content and demos of select titles, and a bunch of fun surprises. Summer Games Fest isn't a singular show, but a whole season for events. He talks about where you can see the schedule, and trust me, there are some amazing events coming, and I'm working on some plans for a developer showcase with my friends at IM8bit, and of course GamesCon, that's Germany's gaming convention, ONL, on August 24th as a big season finale. Thanks to all the game companies and developers who are working hard under challenging circumstances to keep us entertained. I hope Summer Games Fest is a way to show these artists just how their work helps us get through uncertainty and scary times. Keep playing the future. Gaming is about to get really bright this summer. Jeff. So what do you guys think about that? Sounds pretty cool.
It sounds cool, but also you're right, like very vague. It's like, check out what I'm going to do over 4 months.
That's why I pulled that article. Yeah. Are you guys excited about this?
I mean,
more or less. Like I tend to be more partial to. I like having one big event. Like E3 was great. I loved having a ramp up, something that I could really look forward to, and just having everything kind of culminate in sort of one weekend or one large event. So it'll be kind of interesting to see how do you keep the hype levels up? How do you get people excited if you're just kind of like slowly putting out information as you go, where you're never going to have that weekend where like everybody comes together and is just so excited to be there. So it's going to it'll be interesting to see. But at the same time, I'm happy with anything. I mean, they're not obligated to do anything, any events. So I'm happy with whatever I get. I'm good.
Well, in the absence of E3, it sounds like we're getting lots of events, actually. I know one of the things they announced was the next gameplay showing of Cyberpunk 2077. That will be a Summer Games Fest thing. That's going to be in June. So it sounds like Jeff went around to all these developers who were going to show stuff at E3 and said, hey, look, do you want to be part of this? We can show your stuff. And I'm assuming that's what it's going to be for the most part, other than the Gamescom things at the end of August. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that before we move on?
I mean, I'm kind of with Sam here in the fact that like with E3, there was so much that came out, you couldn't quite take it all in. And one of the things I really liked about E3 was like a week later when someone brings up, and what about this? And you're like, I didn't see that at all. And it wasn't because you weren't like paying attention to E3. It's just there was so much. It was like an overload. It's like someone throws a pile of candy at you and you don't know what's in the center of the pile. because you can't see it. Um, whereas this, I feel like things are going to come out and they're going to get talked about. Maybe that'll be good. Maybe that time for digestion will allow like everything a little moment in the spotlight. I don't know. Also, Jeff Keighley looks like Max Headroom burst into the real world, but like chilled out a bit. I just had to say that. Yeah, that's all.
Okay. All right. It's time for our community Q. So this week we got a question from one of our Twitch followers, saturnitefist. Hey, Saturnite. And he asked us what our top 10 favorite games of all time are. Now, we're not going to do all 10 for each of us right now because that would take forever. and I want to do each edition justice. So we're each right now going to do number 10, 9, and 8, and we'll talk about them. And then, next week we'll do 7, 6, 5, and so on and so forth. So who wants to go first?
So we're going to do all our 10s, then all our 9s, then all our 8s?
Let's go 10, 9, 8, each of us, one at a time.
Oh.
Know what I mean? Yeah.
You sure?
That changed
You
things.
sure you want me You sure you want me talking that long uninterrupted?
We'll set the timer. I'll give you the countdown.
Oh wait.
Basically, just tell us your game and what it means to you and why it's on the list. Basically, that's all.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Let's do that. All right. I'll jump off then. All right. Number 10, begrudgingly, I'm gonna have to say Payday 2. I played almost 1,000 hours of that game. It's had its controversies. It's not a very good looking game. It's running on an engine that's held together with duct tape and string. They gave it functionality it never was supposed to have, and it works just as janky as you'd expect. But at the end of the day, it's a co-op focused game with a lot of choice on how you play it. A lot of different builds, a lot of different weapons, a lot of different heists that all have, you can do some stealth, you can do some loud, you can decide on the fly, you can try for stealth and it ends up going loud, and then, things get all messed up. Lots of achievements that are actually fun to do, and a really strong focus on teamwork. Making sure everyone contributes and everyone does something. And that can lead to some toxicity if you're playing with random people and you don't do what they want. But at the end of the day, I ended up with a 30-person friends list on Steam of just people I met playing Payday that were competent, and we would add each other, and I would just play with strangers pretty much every night and have a blast. There was this couple in Michigan who, they were pretty cool. And I played with them a lot. Got to know them pretty well. So, social, fun. Payday 2 is my number 10.
Number 9.
Number 9. I'm actually going to switch my number 9 and 8, but keep them the same. Okay. Number 9, Minecraft.
Really?
Yeah.
I was not expecting Minecraft on your list.
Yeah, sorry, but Minecraft is just a brilliant, creative game with a lot to do and a lot of just freedom. Like, you want to build... I had a buddy, I talked him into playing Minecraft, Aaron, and I left the server running overnight and went to bed and woke up and found he had made like a giant, very nice-looking tree, like a Keebler tree, because you could make cookies inside of it, because there was cocoa beans growing around it, and he put all this stuff in, and like there was just chests full of chocolate chip cookies. He just built a Keebler tree overnight, and a giant pig that was like pixel perfect what a pig would look like in the game, just larger, that he lived inside. And like, what? And then we built a minecart track that went to the bottom of the sea and built Sea Lab from Sea Lab 2021. Like, you can just do whatever you want in the game. And it goes on forever. It's procedurally generated, and just you get a bunch of friends and you play it, and it's just, and then the mods, oh my god, it's just infinite fun for a really decent price. It's not going to win any like graphics awards, but Yeah, it's super successful for a reason.
Some games you don't need graphics.
Yeah.
Number 8.
Number 8. There's going to be a few strategy games on my list. Number 8 goes to Homeworld.
Okay.
Made by Sierra and Relic, who would go on. There's a few Relic games on my list, but it is a real-time space strategy game. Funny enough, it was actually originally developed to be a Battlestar Galactica game, and the plot still shows it. But you have this fleet that you have to find a homeworld with, but it is actually full 3D. So you issue your move commands kind of first on this plane and then on this plane, and you can rotate the camera around, and you can, like, there's no up or down in space. They kind of orient everything a certain way so you can keep track of it, but you can go like this or like this or like this and like warp someone here and have fighters come in here. It's great. It looks beautiful. The sound design is fantastic. Even on the original release, they did a remaster, but it came with the originals. Originals still hold up. Space dogfights are beautiful. Ruining a space dogfight by showing up with heavier ships with a bunch of turrets and just blasting all their fighters down is fun. Yeah. Beautiful game. Great follow-ups. Homeworld definitely blew my mind and has a place in my heart.
All right, Sam, what's your number 10?
Okay. So my number 10 is actually Metroid Prime 3 Corruption for the Wii. I actually have 2 Wii games on here, which I was...
Big shoulder.
Yeah, love Samus. But when I was putting my list together, I was trying to figure out what criteria I wanted to go off of, and my main criteria is just enjoyment level. And what games I've just had the most fun with, and which ones I would be at work or in school and just hoping the day would end so I could run home and play them. And Metroid Prime was one of the first games I had for the Wii. It was one of the first games that blew me away. Like, I remember loading this game up. It was the first game I had ever played on like a big screen plasma TV attached to the wall, and it just opened up in space. And I just sat there and was like, oh my God, this technology is insane. And like, I called everyone in my house. I called my dad down. I called my brother. I'm like, you guys have to see how good this looks. Of course, you look at it now and you're like, that's so bad. But it was really, really fun. It was so fun. It made great use of the Wii. So it's one of the only games I've played with like the nunchucks that actually worked really, really well and was fun and didn't kind of get in the way or feel clunky at all. The music was great. I don't remember any of the story, but I remember I was just enthralled with it. I played it like nonstop. I played through it a bunch of different times. And yeah, it just sticks out as one of those games that I absolutely loved it. It was thoroughly enjoyable. My number 10.
Number 9.
Number 9 is Mass Effect 2. So I thought this was going to be I thought it was going to be higher up on the list, but when I started putting my list together, there were so many other ones.
I know
oh my God. So yeah, Mass Effect 2 for the PS3. It was one that I had borrowed from somebody actually at school, and I went home and played it, and I loved it. Like, I love the characters. I love being able to build relationships with people. The fights were great. Having different powers was really cool. You could kind of like pick different skill trees that you wanted to go down. The story was awesome. I had just started playing it. I played it for maybe 10 hours, and then I needed to know more. So I went out and I bought Mass Effect 1, put Mass Effect 2 on hold, played all the way through the first one so that I could know what was going on, and then picked up and continued. And it had great replay value as well. I remember it just being very, very fun and enjoyable, and it looked great at the time. It's one I hope that gets either remastered or remade. I would love to play that one again.
It's supposed to be with that just broke like the other day. They're working on a remaster.
Yes.
For 1, 2, and 3.
Amazing.
Yep. And number 8?
Number 8 is actually another Wii game. It is Okami. So I don't know if anyone's played Okami before. It's kind of like an anime game. You are a sun spirit, so you're a wolf. You get to play as a dog, which you have me there. So you're this wolf, and you carry this big giant sword around in your mouth, or you can have like a shield on your back. But it's one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen. It's all stylized. Basically, the whole plot is there's this evil spirit that's corrupted the land that you're in, and you have to go area to area and essentially cleanse the land of demons and stuff like that. But each area, when you fill it or when you fix it up, there's this cherry blossom tree in the middle. And you like bring the cherry blossom back to life, and it blossoms, and like just the color spreads out through the whole area. The music is beautiful. It's funny. It's got like a little bit of fan service in there, but it's also like not too fan servicey for kids as well. But I recommend, if you've never heard of Okami, just pull up some of the gameplay and watch some of the cutscenes. It's one of the most beautiful games I've ever seen. It's like playing through like a watercolor painting. It's absolutely amazing.
Awesome. All right, my number 10. It's me. I'm Mario. Super Mario World. Super Mario World is one of the first video games that I was old enough to play start to finish. That I really got it. Like, I had Zelda 2 on the NES, and I couldn't finish it for the life of me. I was too young. I didn't get it. It was too hard. Whatever. But Super Mario World is iconic. The music is iconic. I love that soundtrack. I'll walk around at any given week and I'll start humming Bowser's Castle theme in my head. Like, it's super good. This game has come up so many times in my life. I had it when I was a kid. I played it when I was a teenager. Me and my friends would play it when we were drinking in our early 20s. When we pulled our old consoles out again. And Matt, you're one of them.
Yeah, I was there.
I've played it at barcades, and it's always the first game that I go to and pick off the wall is Super Mario 2 because I don't know, it has so much replayability, and I guess it has a place on my list, or at least at number 10, because I can really pick it up at any time and play start to finish, and there's not a lot of games that I want to do that with, Like, I'll give you an example, and spoilers here, 2016 God of War is on my list as well. I won't tell you where, but when I finished God of War, I didn't play it again. I haven't touched it. I think I've beat Super Mario World like 50 times in my life, and it's been a pleasure every time. Number 9, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. Now, I have really good memories of being in my friend Jamie's basement in high school. I think we were in grade 10, playing Grand Theft Auto 3. And at the time, we had never played anything like that. Third-person action, being able to just steal a car whenever you wanted and smash it into people and like run around and shoot people on the street. And I know I sound like a psychopath right now, but like this was a new thing in video games, and it was cool and it was huge. And then came Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and all of a sudden you have this amazing voice acting cast, and you have friggin' Ray Liotta delivering like Oscar-worthy lines as this like polygonal shaped man who you could barely, like it looked like crap. You have this amazing soundtrack all of a sudden, and you have 2 islands in Miami you can go between. You have a helicopter. And then we got GTA San Andreas, and it's tough to remember that these 2 games were in the same game generation, right? You have Vice City, which is a pretty small game. The little island that you're on with the bridge in between them is pretty tight. Grand Theft Auto San Andreas came out, and it was massive. Huge. Like, I don't know how many times Vice City this map was, but it must have been at least 10. Like, I remember jumping on my dirt bike as CJ and trying to get from one end of the map to the other, and it would take like a half an hour real time to go there. You'd have to go like through the mountains of the desert to get to Las Vegas, or whatever they called Las Vegas in that game. You'd be able to customize your car. There was an amazing soundtrack. You had like 50 hours worth of narrative to play through, and it was a really good story. This is another one of those games that I beat the story, and then I spent like 5 more years just dicking around and having a blast inside Los Santos. And number 8, Doom 2. Not Doom 1. Doom 2. I love Doom. That's no secret. The first Doom, again, I was a little young. My parents were still on the, violent video games are bad trip. So I really only got to play Doom at like my uncle's house or at a friend's house, and I was being sneaky. Doom 2, I was a little older. I was able to get it on my PC, and it was the first Doom that I really dug into. And Doom is one of the rare games that are that old that still hold up today. Like, you can put Doom 2 on your computer right now and have a blast. It's still super fun. The weapon designs were amazing. The sound design was amazing. Firing that super shotgun felt real satisfying. There had never, that was a new thing. The violence and the gore and just that aesthetic, the demons and hell and everything. It was a really, I don't know, it was like a hot button issue back then, for sure. And that's why it's one of my top 10.
Little note.
Yeah.
Since we all have Doom Eternal, you can play Doom 2 right now in Doom Eternal.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
For sure. Doom. That's good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So next week we'll have number 7, 6, and 5 for each of us. What were you going to say, Sam?
I was going to say, just your note on San Andreas with a map and how big it was. I remember when we bought that game, my brother bought it, and opening up the case, and it came with a map that actually unfolded. And I remember folding this thing out and putting it on our living room floor and just looking at it like, oh my God, this is massive. And actually playing, the two of us would sit there and he'd be like playing, driving around, and I'd be holding the map and being like, okay, you got to go all the way up here, and like switching back and forth and trying to, even though you had the little mini map, but still being able to just see on paper how big it was compared to Vice City was a gaming moment. That was something like I'll never forget. You don't get that a lot.
It was
now.
the first of many video game maps that I pinned to my bedroom wall.
Yeah.
Was GTA San Andreas. All right, it's time for bets. So next week, Star Wars Episode 1 Pod Racer is re-released on the PS4. When I go onto Twitch next week, how many views will the top stream have? How many live views? Matt.
2,600.
Okay. Sam?
So that's 260?
Yes.
Okay. I'm guessing 763.
And my guess is
500.
500.
500.
Star Wars. All right, it's time to settle up from last week. Last week we bet on Assassin's Creed, the CG trailer that came out for Valhalla on Ubisoft's YouTube page. The bet was how many views it would have this week. So Matt bet 2.6 million. Sam bet 850,001. And I bet 1.2 million. The actual number of views was 6,859,856.
Yay!
So you get to give your final word and sign us off the podcast.
I was least wrong. Well, final word has got to be, I really, really also liked the fact that in San Andreas, you could customize your physique, and the whole if you ate a lot of fast food, you'd get fat, and you could work out, and it was a little frustrating having to go to the gym over and over, and then and so you could punch really, really hard, but it was kind of cool that was in there. Yeah, I really liked that, and I understand why they dropped it from the series after that, but it might be in a world of Red Dead Redemption 2s with all the eating and stuff, maybe it's about time you bring that back. Or bring it back for Red Dead.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Anyways, signing off, I'm Matt from AntimatterGameZ, and in the words of Kane from Soul Reaver and Blood Omen, Ve Victus.